Good day, good day, good day. I want to check in with everyone. Welcome to All for Success. And good morning to all of you. Please get yourself a moment and get your coffee ready. I'm hoping that you guys can hear me. So we're going to just take a few minutes as I try to get myself situated and set up here, and then we will get started. And I'll be down. But yeah, come on down, get yourself some coffee, honey. That's part of the podcast, remember? All right. I am hoping that you guys are okay with me and all of my wrestling around, trying to get situated. As we know, when we're trying to do anything tech oriented, especially operating uh, at the level that I am, which is just getting myself situated and understanding how some of this works. It's been fun, but it can be a struggle. So I need you guys to bear with me, but please be positive and excited as we all struggle along in this wonderful tech world. But of course, what I'm doing is moving around and making a lot of noise, dropping things. But anyway, once again, once again, thank you all for coming, or thank you all for being here and listening and supporting. I want to welcome you all again to All for Success. This channel here is another wonderful channel, hopefully, that intends to support good people doing good things. And one of the key families that I like to support is the Sussex family, because it reminds me so much of my own family and many others, not in the discourse and the issues that they're having, but just the fact that I'm a mother of adult children and I am fascinated by some of the things that they have to overcome. So I want all of you to join in with me as I chit chat about a few things, and I promise not to keep you long here. Okay, so please just stand by a little bit while I get it together, and remember, get your coffee ready. All right, all right. So back at it, back at it, back at it. All right, folks, I really have to make a couple of confessions. One, I am really lacking and slacking on some of my preparations, but I am going to work very hard to get better. I have been watching some outstanding YouTubers, and I tell you, when I look at the amount of work that they must be putting in, it's extraordinary to me. So keep that in mind as I continue on my journey. And I hope that you guys will like, share, and subscribe to this channel. And I'm hoping that this channel will grow. I have not figured out all of the little ins and outs about how to get the channel to become one of those mega channels, but I'm going to keep working on it. And I hope if any of you have tips, advice, or thoughts, that you will help me get there. So we're going to welcome you again to All for Success. And this is, of course, a channel that's here to support good people doing good things. And I hope that many of us will become those things. I was out there, I had set up a tab earlier to set up my upcoming announcements for the YouTube channel. And then I realized, oh my goodness, for whatever reason, this is doubling the number of broadcasts, and I don't have any idea how to merge the two. So anyway, it was a technical nightmare, but it was quite fun trying to figure out how to straighten that out. And it lets me know there's a lot to learn in this medium. It's things that seem very simple, but then when you get started on them, you realize, oh my goodness, you got a mess going on. But hey, that's another story, okay? So anyway, as we usually open up, I want to let everyone know we have to also go over the fact that we want to stay fit. We want to keep fitness on top. And we want to think about things that we do to keep ourselves in shape. Again, stating that I'm mother of adult children, that tells you that my age is not quite down there in the teens, but that we want to try to keep ourselves fit and feel a little bit like we're in the teens, or at least not too far from it. So I got out there this week and I did my mile walk every day. And I want to hear from you about your fitness journey. So we can report on our steps if you want to, and who did how many miles when. I haven't signed up for a marathon, but it's very possible that one might be in my future. But trust me, I'll be starting slow and I probably will walk it. But I have some friends, oh my goodness, that are even older than I am, and they go out for the 10-mile, 20-mile marathons every opportunity. And to me, it's fascinating to watch them, and they do very well. So I am hoping that I will get an opportunity to do something like that. And maybe some of you can join in and participate with us as well. Wouldn't that be fun? Okay, so here's where I'm going to begin with today. And like I said, I promise not to keep you too long. And we're going to see if I can fumble my way through some of this, and it should be pretty entertaining. So check this out. This week's news, after the typical standard detail, listed all the details of whatever Harry and Meghan may be thinking, all of the details that are out there to go over what Harry and Meghan might be doing, the attempts of the UK media to continuously broadcast and have at their ready a news headline at all times to try and place a barrier or a roadblock or a stumbling block ahead of them in any endeavor they may have. So this week's headlines included things like, and I'm I'm sure you all are thinking about these things. This week's headlines included things like, oh, they were considered for the Netflix show was considered for an Emmy nomination. Oh, then the next day, oh, but they didn't get on the list to become, nominated for an Emmy. So we have to first say, maybe it's going to happen. And now we have the next headline saying, oh, no, they failed. And of course, for us that are, what I'm interested in is, of course, looking at how the media is doing their manipulation game. Remember, the word failed was going to be in there. They failed to get this, that they're failing to get into the Emmy nomination. Now, this is all after the spread of they lost their Spotify contract. They lost, they failed, they lost, they failed, decline, fail, lost. Okay, so now that is one of the big extraordinary stories. So then we jump from whether or not they were going to be nominated for an Emmy, or why were they even considered for an Emmy, but they failed. Okay, so now we've jumped over to Meghan, of course, applied. She turned in an application and she wanted to be on the nominating team. Oh, okay. So now we're going to jump into what she's actually doing. So the amount of eyes she is putting in an application to be on the board for the Emmy nominations, that tells you the amount of eyes that are on every move she makes. And it lets you know the number of people who, given an opportunity, are basically telling everything she does. So, let's review. Where would that information come from? Who would have who would have put that information out? And how about this? Why would they have put that information out? Why would it have been significant to state whether or not, excuse me, whether or not Meghan is applying for any type of position or any type of job? What it tells you is that at all times, 100% of the time, they must constantly inflict upon people what Harry and Meghan's next moves are. And then they must constantly step in front of that move and give you a reason to dislike it, or be angry about it, or be mad at it, right? So you have to spend your energy thinking that whatever they're doing, however they're doing it, whatever it is, it's bad, and we all ought to laugh at it and ridicule it. So what we have seen is that the media machine set in motion to create nothing but absolute destruction of Harry and Meghan is in full gallop. Okay, so that was one thing. So then we moved on from there to, after ridiculing that and ridiculing this. If you notice, of course, online, the stories just continuously repeat. I've seen stories from 5-6 years ago, same thing, same stories about this negative aspect, that negative aspect, and then they try to weave it into the current world today. So that's where we are with them. It's not changing. It's a constant battle. But I'm going to tell you, I think in this particular case that wherever Harry is fighting, Harry is fighting a never-ending battle. And that battle that he is fighting is ongoing and continuous. And I have to say, he's doing a marvelous job of continuing to fight against it. So I'm going to hope that he can continue to stand up against it and fight his way through. And I think he's probably the type of individual that he's going to see it through to the end, and whatever that end may be. And we are going to have to continue to watch and find out how they come through this, because it is a fierce, continuous fighting plan. It's just unreal. So with that being said, I don't know if my slides will come up or not. Well, I have a couple of slides, but they're not very specific to everything that is going on. But what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to change the slide. So stand by for another second. Let's see if I can get this done. Okay. Okay, so I'm in this empty scene and I was trying to have a photo there, but it's not cooperating. so here's what we're going to do. We're going to try to add this photo, but I don't know why it's not adding like I want it to. So here's the thing. I have this, let's see if I can put him here. Where is he? I have a photo here of Dan Wooten. And for some reason or another, I cannot seem to add him to this scene. And it's just because I was trying to do something really cool and different. Right? That's what happens when you try to do something unusual and new. But who I had a photo of was Dan Wooten, and I'll keep fumbling with this while I'm on the live here. And I wanted to comment on Dan Wooten and the fact that what he did or how he came back up in the what do you call it, in the scenes of things. He shows up in the news with a potential, let's say, allegation against him. All right. Now, the allegation that is floating out there against him has to do with his time or his ex-boyfriend. And the story goes that this ex-boyfriend at the time stayed at his home in New Zealand. And I'm going to just recap because many of these other podcasters have gone over this information with a fine-tooth comb. But many, what has happened is while they were staying at his home, it would appear that they found a hard drive and some information about having copied, or he somehow had on this hard drive, a very intimate relationship going between two people. And that for whatever reason, Dan Wooten had what would have been considered a possibly illegally obtained video recording of two people engaged in an intimate relationship. Now, here's the thing. It doesn't seem like I don't know what that means in current day, and we don't know what it could turn into as time goes on. But what it sounds very much like another tribute to the lawsuit that Harry has been waging, where he has discussed the fact that the media has used very nefarious methods to find out personal things about individuals. that the media has spent extraordinary measures to gain information about the intimate lives of people who are maybe celebrities or in the media. So here's the thing. If this is a factual situation, if this is true, right, then what you have is actual evidence. If this individual kept that hard drive, or if he got names and information off of those documents, what you have is now absolute evidence of these potential allegations. And of course, I have to say allegations. So Dan Wooten, who now has a moniker and on his own show where he has his name, you're beginning to get this information that is leaking out of his possible interaction and potential, what do you call it? Potential interaction with various earlier celebrities that have had these complaints about the media. Now, back to a story that I talked about in an earlier podcast, the story of Carolyn Flack. Now, why do we need to keep that in mind? Because, like I said, many other YouTubers gave very detailed descriptions of what they read in the document that was submitted by his previous ex-boyfriend, let's call him, or previous ex-friend, however you want to label this young man. And in that document, which was read in detail on many podcasts, and I'm sure many of you who follow these podcasts know more of the details than I do. But there was a detailed mentioning of specific names of specific people in the past that had been targeted and threatened to keep quiet about various methods that they knew that the media personalities employed in order to get information. Now, this is beautiful because once again, the name Carolyn Flack came up. And this time, Carolyn Flack's ex-boyfriend's name came up. And I believe his name is Alex something or another. I believe Alex, maybe. And this gentleman has an absolute equal to Harry vendetta against the media. He actually has considered the media the reason for Carolyn Flack's death. Now, if you all don't know the background of the story is that Carolyn Flack, she dated Harry actually in 2009. She and Harry actually went out. She had become the presenter of a program called, I think it's Love Island. You know, it was another one of those crazy reality shows. And in this particular show, you know, she just was very upbeat and very fun. It's very similar to some of the reality shows we have here, like Housewives and so forth. And she had dated Harry way back when they were young in 2009. And then after that, she dated another young man named Harry Styles, one of the musicians. And I know many people know him. And he was much younger than she was. But she used to, in the media world, she used to get death threats from time to time. People would say things and write things about her that were just absolutely malicious. And she endured this type of media smear probably for 5-10 years. But, you know, usually she was on the front or back page of a tabloid and they were saying something mean and horrible about her. Well, it appears that now, of course, now with this revelation of this young person who is about to out Dan Wooten or make an allegation against Dan Wooten, which many of us are sitting holding our breath waiting to see what that's going to be, that this discussion, that this mentioning, that this Twitter feed rant included a reference to the death of Carolyn Flack. That just by itself is interesting, folks. And I mean, please, everybody hold on to your seats, because we've got to stand by and see what in the world this might be. What is going to come of this? What is this from? So he's going to be in a bit of a pickle, right? Because it appears, once again, the parents of Carolyn Flack, they haven't gone anywhere. Her family members, other family members, they haven't gone anywhere. And when Harry started ramping up his lawsuit here, these people are saying the same thing, and they have filed similar types of lawsuits, and they kind of only stepped back because they were squashed, right? Put down, and in some cases threatened, which is what Harry and Meghan are also going through. So I don't know, I do not know. I tell you what, everyone, I am just standing here thinking, my goodness, something is falling apart in the UK. The media kingdom is starting to buckle. And I'm just standing by waiting to see how this is going to all fall apart. I'm excited to see where this is going to go. So she, again, she was a moderator on a show called Love Island. And then, you know, later her life was just basically picked apart, very similar to the Meghan style-esque picking apart of everything that she did. And she too was trying to do things or have some moments of her life that just weren't part of the public. She ended up later dating another young man and they got in a fight or an altercation somewhere in a hotel, and it involved, you know, those two getting physical with each other. And it probably wouldn't have made any particular type of news, but someone got a hold of that information again, told every bit of the story. Oh, she hit him in the head. He called the police, this and that. And then another part of the story involved her being in a hotel room, and there was blood everywhere, and she had cut herself. And oh, was it self-harm, or was she trying to kill herself? And then this was plastered all over the news waves as well. And in each case, in each circumstance, she was trying to keep some of her life hidden from the public's spread off of her, keeping just a little bit of the public attention diverted from her. But it was as if she couldn't get away from the public scrutiny. She could not get out of their clutches and their claws. And so eventually this woman at about age 40, whether she was having more significant problems in her life, or whether she was having some other type of mental anguish, but it pushed her to an edge and a place in her life where she felt that the only thing she could do was take her own life, or at least that is how it appears, right? So it was either whatever she was wanting to say to the press, or whatever she was trying to keep away from the press. It pushed her to a place where she actually took her own life. And I believe this was as recent, if I'm not mistaken, as perhaps 2020. And it was absolutely awful for her and her family. And the thing about this woman and her life is that if you all are following these things, and I don't want to get too far off my own off my own life topic, but if you all are following these things that are coming through with the UK media and their battles right now, is you're seeing a very, very similar thread. And that thread is the same thing that is playing out for us in full view with day-to-day updates with Harry and Meghan. you're seeing that these personalities in these that were celebrities or in the media, you're seeing that all of them made these accusations. One, that there was total blitz media coverage of them, of their every single move, of their every desire, of their every interaction, of their every single relationship, that they were not only just stalked, but to them, it felt as if someone was actually in the room with them at all times, watching them, that they couldn't make a move without the entire news media or tabloid media having that information and spreading it worldwide. And this is the same kind of situation that people had in and around the royal family. So Diana, of course, the late Princess Diana, definitely said this, that she was being haunted. She felt like her car was being sabotaged. She felt like she couldn't go anywhere. And that everything that she did, people were taking pictures of it, whoever she was seeing. All of this, it was like relentless media tracking, tabloid media tracking. But the subject is absolutely under relentless scrutiny. So we're watching this in real time. And now we can also track back to the people who are currently in these media positions. Look at the heights that they have risen to. They've all got their own television shows. They all have these high salaries and they demand these great big salaries. But let's look at what might have been in each one of the background of these folks who have risen in the ranks of tabloid television media. It looks like now their names are showing up they solicited a child. They were looking at pictures of naked people. I mean, just follow along what's happening, what is unfolding in their arena. And now with this story coming out about Mr. Wooten, or this allegation, as I should say, coming out now about Mr. Wooten, now it's a similar thing. We had a relationship, and then it appears that I was under a lot of pressure, and that I felt fearful that he was going to ruin my opportunities in my career. And now it appears that he had videotapes of other people's personal lives. And whose name happened to come up again? As I mentioned, Carolyn Flack. One more time. Another reference to Carolyn Flack. Now, in the past, over the years, you can find, and I'm going to do some digging just, as I'm learning to become more intense here, you can do some digging and you will find that there are numerous references to her in the UK tabloid media, especially in television tabloid media. They were raking this poor lady over the coals. So she got to this point where she just felt, you know what, there's nothing that I can do. I can't survive this. And then she takes her own life. And so you now have a family. They're not happy about this. They feel that she was pushed into this position. So I'm going to tell you all, I'm saying, just sit back, take a deep breath, keep your eyes on these particular people being accused of these things. Now, what the UK media is going to do, which is what they did with the recent case with Mr. Schofield, and what they're going to do with Dan Wooten as well, they're going to trot out some story that either it didn't happen, it's an allegation, it's false. And then, of course, we're all supposed to feel sad and sorry that they're being persecuted. Oh my gosh, cancel culture, right? Don't forget, they're going to throw out the words cancel culture. Oh my goodness. And how hurtful it is to these television presenters who have come out here in the public, and television presenters, tabloid TV, but they have destroyed and torn down the lives of other people. They spent every moment of their television presence to tell the world to hate Harry and Meghan, that Harry and Meghan are bad people and they've done terrible things. And not one of them can name an individual instance of something that they actually did. It's just all of this innuendo and reference to the fact that the royal family was hurt. The royal family can't be hurt. These people are brought up to be monsters. Okay? So how in the world could they be hurt? Every moment of their indoctrination is spent to sever them from humanity. So what in the world was going to be hurtful? Nothing. And then you have these people who have never been family adoring, who have never been adoring and doting to their own children, right? And now we're supposed to believe that Harry leaving the institution and moving away with his family is somehow making them sad. Now, these are the same people who took his house that was a gift, tried to take his money to make sure that he couldn't have any type of way to support himself. And then lastly, took his security to ensure that he couldn't protect himself. And then lastly, even if he wanted to pay for it, said he couldn't. And then wouldn't even offer up a word of support for his wife. However, you and I are supposed to absorb all of that and say, aren't they a loving family? And this is what they trot people out on television in front of Piers Morgan to say every week. He comes over to the United States and he trots all over the world, Australia, New Zealand. He's all over the place where there's a Commonwealth. He's zipping about on his plane to come out and try to find another person to sit across from him to say, I hate Harry and Meghan too. So, I mean, it's an absolute campaign. But what I'm seeing, or what I think I'm seeing, is that there is starting to become a payment for this. And I think that that payment, the origin of it, I believe, is the fact that Harry is not going to let up. I think the origin of that is now this legal team that is going to push this to its conclusion. And what we're all looking forward to now, are you expecting the UK media and the tabloid media to be fair? No, never. No one is looking for them to be nice and good people. All right. Because the whole point of tabloid is to be sensational, gossipy, and things like that. But, as we have found, or as we are seeing, you're beginning to realize, and I'm hoping that some of the little people are beginning to wake up, that they are constantly feeding us, and this is the media in general, they're constantly feeding you this stuff, this trash, and trying to tell you what you think and believe. It's not the other way around. It's not that you decided, oh, well, this is how I feel about something. You're constantly being told how you are supposed to feel about people and events. So you have to really dig deep and question what's being tossed out there to you. But of course, most of the folks who are Sussex Squad, that is what they do. They look at things, they analyze, and they question. But there are so many people out there. I do not know if their brains are actually a blank slate or if there is actually something wrong with people. But there is this thing happening where you see folks who seem to believe almost anything that is thrown in front of them. And it can be absolutely ridiculous. Right? And I'm going to throw out just a couple of little thoughts, a couple of little things. And like I said, I'm not going to keep you on forever. But I wanted to mention, and I don't know, I don't know if other people run up on these type of things like I do myself. But I know and found out, of course, by looking up different institutions, that an institution like the nonprofit that was put together called the Heritage Foundation, which is, it advertises itself here in the States as being all about conservative values, family, and freedom. right? Sure. But we know that's not what it is because it's minions and it's UK personalities that are embedded within it are the ones that are behind trying to find a reason for the United States to continuously investigate Prince Harry. So they've made it their mission to be out and about trying to do things to disrupt the lives of Prince Harry and Meghan. They spend all of their time running around the United States trying to come up with things that the United States can find to disrupt the lives of Prince Harry and Meghan. They want to either have him deported or they want to get him in trouble or they want to say he's got drug charges or whatever. And this is what they're doing. And a foundation like this, which is interesting that it even exists here in the United States, these are the types of foundations that were put together even as early as the 1600s that spent their time studying warfare, in other words, how to attack other people in other countries. And then there are other institutions that spent their time studying and learning and teaching people how to go to other countries and subjugate the people. And all of these type of institutions still exist. I mean, Russia still has its war college, and the United States definitely has its military war college. And these institutions are still alive and well. And so it is phenomenal to me as we look at the media and the things that the media does. You have to always understand that even though this picture may look small and it may look tight, it may appear that, oh, it's just the television tabloid or television media, but you have to be aware that all of these things are somewhat tied together because there is an asymmetrical war going on against the minds of the people. And it has to be that way at all times in order to control what is happening in the world. And I want you all to think about that for a moment. And also, you've let me get off on my tangents like this, but I just want you to carry those thoughts over to the next group of podcasters that you listen to and the advertisements that you see. And I want you to like, share, and comment here. Please make sure you send me a comment or two. Send me a thumbs up so that I know you're actually out there. I am so excited to have you guys on the channel. But send me a comment here or there. Let me know what you're thinking because I would love to read them and then get back to you during some of the other podcasts. But that is the bigger picture that is going on sometimes behind the scenes of what we think we see. Sometimes it's very much happening that what's going on is a much bigger battle. And people will say that often. They will tell you that there is a great battle going on and that you have to constantly fight against some of the things that are happening in the world. So I want you all to think about that and definitely keep that in mind. Definitely keep that in mind as you see some of these news articles, because it's very possible that, folks are fighting each other in this way from all over, from everywhere. So definitely leave me a comment. Tell me what you think about it. And if you have a chance to, look around on Google or study some of these correspondence work, you might start to see some of these things in print in different places. And so what seems like it's separated and not connected, you will find that many of these things are actually connected and that many of these issues are coming together on purpose. So there are institutions in almost every country that they spend a great deal of their time studying what the public wants, studying what the public likes, trying to understand the sentiment of the population and which way they should lean. You're listening to them on the UK media all the time. They're trying to push the thought process that everyone loves the royals, when individually you can see, smell, and taste that that is not correct. Yet that is the scene that is continuously pushed. And so what these people might do to protect their interests, and their interests generally are around money slash power, what they will do to protect that is probably unlimited. And they may not think at all about the casualties or the deaths of the people that have been involved. The fact that Princess Diana died, to them, it might be a shoulder shrug and an, oh, well, as long as I stayed in power. And as many things occur, which is what happens to a lot of people, and of course, those who are very, what I call very wonderful, and the wise people, and the very, we would like to describe them, the very meditative type people, generally they would say there's no reason to have behaved like that. There's no reason to act like that to get ahead. They would see, well, you don't need to run after material gain, or you don't need to run after power. But the folks who come up in these environments, that is all they know. Their growth is stunted. They don't experience life the same way that we do. They're not experienced in the way of the world like we are. They live basically within that walled-in structure, within that walled-in organization, where what they do a lot of is play dress up and perform ceremonies. But they think that is the actual world. And they'll do anything that they can, that they'll do anything, and they'll support anything that will allow them to continue carrying on that particular fantasy that they basically live. And they will destroy anyone and anyone anywhere that they feel is a threat to that way of life. And Harry and Meghan definitely posed that. Their existence posed a threat. The fact that you could walk into that structure, walk into that environment, and then turn around and say, never mind, I don't want any of this. They're gonna do everything within their power to make you pay. Okay, so with that, I know I've taken up almost an hour of your time in a scatterbrain sort of way, but listen, please thumbs up me, like and subscribe, share. Let me know you're out there, okay? Make sure you hit the like, and then share so that I can get more viewers sometimes and have more chats. And as I get more organized, I might be able to do this in a more organized fashion. But I want to thank each of you for coming. And I want to tell you that I do enjoy having a moment to have these rants, especially on a rainy day like we're having here. And you all definitely try to come back for my next video chat, and I will try to have my subjects more complete and my thoughts more clear. But above all, keep your eyes open. We're going to stand by, and we're going to see how we're going to be presented with this Dan Wooten situation. And we're going to see how the media is going to try to feed it to us. Okay. And then our job as those who support good people who do good things, our job is to get the word out on what is the real story. All right. Thank you all for coming, and enjoy your day. And remember, once again, keep your workout going, get your steps up, and then let us know how you're doing in your workout journey. Thanks again.